the Nightcap. It's your girl, Carolina Sanchez. Yesterday we talked to the fellas, and now it's time to hear from the ladies. We're talking about interest and how we lose interest in relationships when we're dating or when it's long term. I know we heard from the fellas, but I really do need to hear from these ladies. But I didn't drink in my hand. My girl Ashley here, who's a Michelin trained and a luxury hospitality specialist, is in the building with a beautiful cocktail. And
There you go.
What is this?
Today we are drinking a Queen Bee. It is with lemon juice, honey syrup, and a little bit of La Marca Prosecco.
And I'm pretty sure the ladies on the couch agree that they are queen bees.
Absolutely.
All right? Are you going to join the conversation?
I am.
All right, I'll meet you on the couch with the rest of them. And it's not just the ladies here. We also have a man in the building, and he is the one who's going to keep us, you know, cool and keen. He is a relationship therapist after all. So let's get into it.
Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
All right, let's talk with our queen bees. We've got Cindy Burbano.
Hey.
We've got Lotto Marie in the building. We've got Ashley James joining us on the couch.
Hey.
And relationship and sex therapist Ty Lerman is here to keep us grounded. All right, ladies, before we hear what the men had to say, because we
Right.
had them on yesterday to discuss why and if they lose interest in their relationships. Is it easy for women to lose interest, would you say?
I think so. I think it is, especially if the guy early on is not coming through with what maybe he promised, or like he started being really much gentleman, and then all of a sudden his attitude changes. He's ignoring you. He doesn't treat you right. Maybe just intimately you're not having a connection. Yeah, I would lose interest immediately. Yeah.
Lotto?
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
I disagree. I don't think that women lose interest. I mean, we are taught from a very young age that it's important to get married and to have kids. Like, this is this dream that we're sold is going to be happily ever after. So I think we accept a lot of BS. I do think that if interest is lost, like if you walking by me, you don't see me, my legs is out, we got a problem. Wait a minute. You don't see all this.
What's going on?
Yeah, then we have a problem. I agree to that standpoint, but I do think that it's very easy for us not to lose interest as long as we grow.
Right.
As I grow, I want them to grow with me as well.
Okay, so that's where you lose interest,
Yes.
is if they're not growing
If they're not
alongside
growing.
you.
Absolutely. And if they don't notice all of this.
Ashley, what about you? What is your experience?
So I think I land somewhere in between.
Okay.
I do believe that women can lose interest quickly. However, I agree that women will accept it, even though they're not really interested anymore. Especially after you get into your mid to late 30s and you've never been married. Often we're like, well, we want the dream, we want to be married, we want to have kids. So he's not treating me the way he used to. He's not, you know, living up to his promises, which I think is men do a poor job of managing expectations. So someone like me, if you're not managing expectations, whether it's in the bedroom, whether it's traveling, whether it's things like that, yeah, I will hold on longer and I'll have hope a little bit longer, but my interest will wane. But a lot of women will just steadfast because they're like, you know what, he checks all the boxes and I really want to get married, so.
And then you hear about the dating cesspool that's out there, and you're like, I might as well stick it out.
And then they settle, which is the saddest
Exactly.
thing. We're not
Very,
here to settle.
Very. I agree with that.
But
We are
so
all in
many
agreement.
people
Yeah.
settle.
All right, Ty, you've heard the ladies. What is your experience with patients that you've seen, couples that come in? Are you finding that women lose interest and stick around?
So I will start with saying I am not the expert on women.
Oh, right.
We knew
I
that.
am not one. I will not speak for women, but I will speak to statistics, and I will speak about my anecdotal experience as a relationship and sex therapist. You know, people change over time. As Lotto was saying, like we all grow, and the greatest challenge in relationships is when we grow in different directions.
Yeah.
And can we figure out how to navigate and still grow in generally the same direction? Or give our partner space to grow in their way while I also grow in my way, and we can still navigate things together. And that's one of the largest challenges in all relationships is navigating that growth over time.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think with time and age, you also, when you start experiencing and putting yourself there more independently and noticing that you don't really need to rely on somebody who's just giving you half or who's mediocre, who's not meeting you, who's not making you better.
You learn your worth.
You learn your worth, and
absolutely.
it's so much easier to walk away and not settle and say, I'm worth more than this. I don't need to stay here. I don't need to put up with stuff like that. You know?
I think that's true, but I think when you come to the emotional aspect, especially for those of us who may take longer to get attached or can put people in boxes until you get out of that box, it's like, okay, well, now I've put all this emotional capital into somebody. And so even though I might be speaking up about how I feel and I might be speaking up about what's going on, am I really, like, I just, you know, maybe there's some hope. Am I really willing to throw all this away? Maybe if we figured something out or we tried a therapist or we tried to spice it up. Like, even if eventually we leave, I feel like women often tend to go a little bit longer, whether we're the, you know, hard and fast type or the super open and committed type from the beginning.
I think that communication is key. And I think that that's something that's wrong with everybody.
Ty's like, please, yes.
Like, I think that that is a big thing. That's one of the things that I pride myself on, is communicating. So I feel like sometimes people will just get up and leave. You're not doing X, Y, Z. And you assume that they know, and that's the worst thing to do with men, because men are idiots.
All right, now we ain't gonna say all that. Okay, all right, listen, coming up next, we're actually gonna look at how women start to show that they're no longer interested. So you stay right there. We'll be right back.
These are things girls do when they're losing interest. Number 1. When a girl first starts to lose interest in you, if she didn't have the ick before, she's definitely got it now. Every little thing you do will start to annoy her. And this just leads to her picking arguments over the smallest of things. But on the flip side, if she normally does this and all of a sudden she isn't, it's probably because she's that emotionally withdrawn that she doesn't even have the energy to argue with you anymore. Number 2, the Titanic. Girls will emotionally detach before they physically detach. So if you can't remember the last time she initiated wanting to see you, she's pulling back and letting the ship sink. And number 3, if the people she's got on social media know what's going on in her life before you do, she probably doesn't even realize she's doing it, but it's because she feels pushed away and isn't telling you about the ins and outs of her day anymore.
Interesting. All right, we're talking about losing interest with Cindy, Lotto, Ashley, and Ty Lerman, a sex and relationship therapist. All right, did that ring a bell with
It
lady?
did.
That's pretty fair.
Like, the biggest thing is the one thing she did not say is when we lose interest, we shut down. I don't know about y'all, but
yes, true.
I just, the communication, the interest, like, I mean, in a nutshell, it was all of that. But ultimately, I shut down. There's no more baby this and baby that. There's no, no more excitement, really. I don't know if you ever get excited about your man. You know, you get excited to see him. Like, girl, I lose interest. Ain't none of that. I'd rather watch paint dry up.
At some point, is there a possibility of getting the interest back?
Of course.
I think so. And I think that also comes with what the ladies were saying when we kind of try a little harder. We look for all the avenues. We're trying to talk to therapists. We're trying to do, maybe we do a date night. Maybe, as women, like you said, naturally, we're always trying to do a little extra. If the man listens to what you have told them and say, we need to communicate, or I would love to spend more time with you, and he starts making those changes and you start accepting it and not attacking him by oh, well, you finally took me on a dinner date, but you accept it and embrace it, I think it can come back. Yeah. Especially if you were in love.
Ty? You think it's
I
possible?
wouldn't be in this business if I didn't believe that we could change.
Okay.
So I absolutely do, and I say this to every client, every couple that walks in my door is if you both plug in and you both show up in vulnerability and own your stuff.
Right. Say it.
Yes.
Then we can move mountains. We can do anything if we show up and we're honest with what we want, and we're willing to make some compromises, and that means not taking a rigid stance on anything.
Okay.
But being willing to compromise. That means we're not going to get. It's not going to be perfect.
Compromise. I love the word. Yes. Let him use you.
As long as we.
Yes. Let him use you.
As long as we both
use
show up
that
that way,
word.
there is absolutely a way back. There's absolutely a way back.
Okay, so beyond the emotional attachment, men say that, even if they lose interest, they're still willing to hit it. Are women still willing
To hit it.
to hit it?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
I think you look elsewhere.
Dang. Okay. I mean, but wait a minute. Let's get a little context.
Come on,
Don't just answer the question so quickly. She, you know, okay. There's some good stuff that we hitting, right?
So you're saying if it's good stuff, you would?
If it's the good stuff,
I think it depends on where we are in the relationship.
Oh,
If we're at
okay.
the beginning, because you can
you're
have
not a kidnapper.
if you can you can have situationships and not be interested in a guy and have great sex. But if I'm emotionally attached to you, we've been in a long relationship, and then I lose interest, it doesn't matter how good it is or what the orgasm is like. I don't want you to touch me.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
the
that's
TikTok
smart.
person was spot on that women connect sexually emotionally
Yes.
first.
That's true.
And so if the if we're disconnecting emotionally, then we're not gonna be as interested in having sex.
I agree.
I want to add something to that because that makes sense. But for myself, whenever I've noticed it, when I'm able to leave the good stuff alone, it's because I have new good stuff. Even if
That's what
it's
I'm saying. You look somewhere else. That's what
right.
you
So
said
so
at the
I
beginning. You
yeah.
immediately start looking somewhere else.
Easier
But
to get
if
over
I
someone
have
if you're under
it-
someone.
if I don't have it,
I heard that,
then I
Ashley.
might be open. What'd you say?
I said it's easier to get over someone by getting under someone.
Yes,
it is.
I agree.
I
If they're
do
good.
also want to name that like this entire conversation is based on monogamy. And if we are engaging in any kind of non-consensual or consensual non-monogamy, CNM, then this is a kind of a moot point because we're allowed to explore other ways of engaging. And like if I lose interest with this one person in some capacity, I can seek that out with another person. And
Let's talk about that.
that's a whole other segment.
Actually, we do have another segment coming up. All right, you stay right there. We come back, we'll see how we change this interest conversation into maybe a polyamorous interest conversation. We'll see. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about losing interest in relationships with the ladies. We've got Cindy, Lotto, Ashley, and Ty Lerman, a sex and relationship therapist who's here to, bring in the statistics and, experiences he's had with his clients. So we've said that women are willing, when they start to lose interest, to stick around to see if the changes are made. What we learned from the men yesterday is that once they lose interest, it's really hard to come back unless it's like a marriage, like a long-term committed relationship. Is there a point in a relationship where, like, as soon as I lose interest, like, I'm out?
I don't think there's a time limit. I think if the person is not responsive to what your needs are, when you constantly telling them, please, I need to spend more time, or we need to be more intimate, or I need you to listen to me. If that person's not willing to do that, whether it's in 6 months or 2 years as boyfriend and girlfriend, and you lose interest, that's it. If they're not listening and they're not communicating.
So for me, if I am dating someone, if I am literally just dating them, I'm very upfront. I'm very honest to the things, to the needs that I have, and I'm older, so I'm not trying to change anybody.
Yeah.
So if you fit in the lines, great. If not, then no hard feelings. Unfortunately, I can't date you. And like I've dated somebody that was not good at communicating. They said that it was because of their affiliation with like being in the Army, and so they're used to being discreet. And I think that that's great. Thank you so much for the country, but for me,
You ain't for this.
I want to know what you got going on. And you're not able to tell me what you got going on, and I'm able to commit to that.
Yeah.
And that's just not what I want.
You ain't for me.
It ain't for me, and I gotta go.
Ashley, what about you?
I think it depends on where you are in the relationship. I think for dating, I'll lose interest early on if just our passions aren't aligned, if the sex isn't there, if the intimacy isn't there, if he doesn't like to travel, if he isn't willing to, like, I'm a chef, my whole life is eating.
Ooh, yeah.
So if he isn't willing to try things, or, I'm driven by passion. So if he isn't willing to get wrapped up a little bit in some level of passion, I'll probably lose interest pretty quickly. I was also married for 10 years. And, it took a really long time for me to get to the point where I was like, this is enough. But my body was the one that told me, okay, no more hope. You've been trying a long time. Like,
Your body just shut down.
I remember the moment it happened. It had been like, a little bit of time where we were we'd been apart, and my ex-husband is a lovely person, but we just weren't on the same page. And I started losing trust, not that he was cheating on me, but that he was there for me, sort of thing. And so I kept having hope, and things kept, going, and we would say things would change, and they wouldn't change. And I was back and forth between London and New York at the time, and I remember I was in London, and he was on his way, and it was the very first time I wasn't excited. I used to get so excited about it, and tell everyone and all this sort of stuff. And when he walked in the door, he went to go hug me, and my body like jerked. And I felt so bad because I saw his face and how much it hurt him, but it was a reaction. Like my body was like, you can't.
Had your body been with another body?
No.
His body jerked in a different way.
It wasn't about the sex. It was just like, I couldn't do this anymore. And it was like, it's time to move on.
Dang, okay, wow.
So Ty, kind of jumping off of what Ashley has shared with us, thank you for getting so vulnerable. When it comes to married and long-term committed couples, I feel like people wait too long. Either they've communicated a long time and they don't get the things they want, or they don't communicate and they just suffer, and then they don't see any change, and then eventually they're like, you know what, I'm done. Is there a way back from that, or it's like, man, you've waited too long and you didn't change for it's time to move on.
Expiration.
Expiration.
So there's a few things that are coming up in what Ashley shared and what the others have shared. The first is the sunk cost fallacy that happens frequently in relationships, and this is a fallacy of logic that I've been in it so long, I can't uninvest now. Like I've given so much to this, I can't bail on this now. And even though none of my needs are being met, I've given too much, right? And this is a fallacy because if your needs aren't being met, then that's the only thing that matters, and you need to go get your needs met, and that's what you need to do, right? And regardless of how long you've been with. And I draw the equivalent to like the stock market. If you invest in a stock that looked really good to begin with, the second it starts tanking, you're like, I'm out. You're not going to stick around and lose all your money. The other part of that is scarcity. Frequently, like the excuse, like I don't know that I'll ever find someone better, or I'm older, so the dating pool is not as deep or pleasant.
It's shallow down here.
It's shallow.
You just gotta go younger.
So I've learned.
The pool's huge over there. It's big, I tell you.
There might be pee in there though.
They definitely peeing in their water. And you gotta share, but anyway, we didn't go there.
So this scarcity comes up, and we're fearful that we're not going to find something better. The only question we'd ask is this working? And if the answer is no, then we need to intervene and try and make it work. And if it's still no, then we need to remove ourselves.
Got it.
Is there a question after, is it working? Give us the next, I mean, I know, I'm trying
Listen,
to
you
look for
can
help.
pay for that. You can pay for that. Listen, cheers to the queen bees. May you get and keep interest in your relationship. All right, listen, coming up next, my girl Ashley's taking me behind the bar, but not for learning how to make this, but to make a midnight munchie. So you stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Nightcap. As promised, we are behind the bar with my girl Ashley James, the luxury hospitality specialist. And the queen bee was delicious, but you have a beautiful, what is this, a dessert here?
Yes, it is a chocolate mousse with a blackberry sauce.
That means it's time for Midnight Munchies. Yes, we got the burner going. It's rare, but I love it when it happens. All right, so you're gonna show me how to make this.
Yeah, so I'm doing the chocolate mousse because it's one of those things where last minute somebody comes over and you're like, oh, I have to make something if you're like a hostess like me. But you've had a busy day, like today was, and you don't know what to do. So the chocolate mousse is super easy. It's a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips and a half a cup of heavy whipping cream.
Okay.
So we're just gonna melt it in the bowl. And we just stir this, it just takes a few minutes. This is also something really great that if you have a busy day and you wanna do it first thing in the morning, I mean, it takes 10 to 15 minutes total, and then you just let them sit in the fridge. I have this homemade whipped cream here, which is just 2/3 cups of heavy whipping cream, powdered sugar, and a little vanilla extract.
Ooh.
So again, this is a great dessert. I like desserts where they're not too sweet, there aren't too many ingredients. So it's quick to make, it's nice, you can taste what you're cooking. So you're just gonna fold it in.
I love it.
And folding it, you're just using a rubber spatula. You don't wanna whip it, because if you do it too much, it'll get flat. It won't have all the...
Yeah.
Before you eat it, you just wanna give it about 2 hours to cool. It makes about 2.5 cups, so it's probably about 7 quarter-cup portions. Here we have a blackberry sauce. That is just blackberries, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of lemon juice, and cornstarch. Put it on the stove for 3 minutes, add the cornstarch, lemon juice, lemon zest, let that cool, and you're done.
Wow.
And you have a really beautiful dish that pairs very well with the wine, of course.
Okay, is this why we have some wine poured over here?
That's why we have some wine poured.
Okay, listen. This is, see, I need to become your girlfriend. Let's do that.
Always, I like
And I
to
know my girlfriend's on the couch on the way. Ty, you can come too. and you already have and you have other wines. These are the wines that do pair well as well.
They do. So traditionally, when people do desserts, they like to go with really sweet wines, or they'll go with a sparkling, which is always great. But we are in the fall, winter months when it's a little bit cooler outside, and I don't know about anybody else, but I like chocolate, braised meats, and red wine.
Chocolate, braised meats, and red wine. I mean, you're speaking my love language. You keep me interested with those three.
I'm
That's
telling
okay.
you, no one is losing interest
No
with
one
you,
is.
okay? I'll stay here, right here.
Okay, we're all gonna stay here because we're interested. Listen, I hope you're interested in your relationship or your future endeavors, okay? But make sure you stand for you and what you want and communicate those and compromise where you can. Cheers to you. We'll see you guys next time.